but soon he will learn manners. I will torture his body so that his soul learns to be humble.
Okay, he know we just talking here, right? I mean, we just getting people interested in...
Cage against the machine!
There ain't no you without me. So what's the deal, baby?
Here's another analogy. Think about fight camps.
Right.
So people are fighting maybe they're lucky enough to fight on the same card. Maybe they're fighting in different cards and they're training together. Hey, you need to keep your elbows tight to your body when you throw that jab.
Right.
No one goes up on the mic and be like, you know what, JK? Stop stealing my punch. He got that from me, man. When he spun his body and kicked him in the belly, man, he got that from me.
Man, I'm telling you, man.
Telling you a biter. So there's a that's what I saw.
I saw you when you kicked that dude in the calf.
Right, man.
Yeah,
hey,
like
nobody was kicking nobody in the legs until I came around, man. Y'all some biters. See?
Or like when Anderson knocked out Vitor with the front kick, and then a few cards later, Lyoto does it to Randy Couture, and they're both some
That's
black.
part
And you know what's funny? And what's funny about you using that particular analogy, when that kick happened, I remember everybody was like, oh, I'd never seen that before. I'm like, dude, that's a standard front kick.
Right?
Like,
Exactly.
what are you
may
talking
have not seen
about?
it get
Alex,
a knockout.
Alex, I'll take what is Muay Thai for 100, please.
Better yet, I'll take what is Taekwondo for 200.
There you go. And when they connect, and then that's the moment, right? That's mixed martial arts. So when that kick, when you see that technique, and you can find that technique in multiple arts, that tells you something. That's synergy.
Right.
It's the stuff we talk about, the diaspora. Where you can take one concept and you find it in so many different African countries.
Right.
And they don't even speak the same language.
Right.
And then you find this concept over across the world in Mexico and Central America. Who's really civilized, right?
I mean, just saying.
Just saying. So for those tuning in, we are Cage Against the Machine, the Round Zero podcast. We are here to cover UFC 224.
Yes, indeed.
I'd like to start off by saying I've marked myself safe. I survived Thanos. Have you survived Thanos?
Barely.
Brane has not survived Thanos yet.
But when you're my color, you're automatically in danger for every damn thing.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. There was a yellow jacket joke in there, but I let it go.
Well, I mark myself safe as surviving
Marked himself
Volcano
as-
Kailua.
He marked himself as I have not gone and seen it yet.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about that. Actually, we're working on something very special with another podcast, so keep yourself posted. For those who need a reminder, I am the SweetMBA. I am joined, as usual, by my co-host,
J.K. Akins.
and of course, you remember this guy. He is.
Brain damage.
And everything that is recorded, put together, engineered, and made beautiful is done by DeShawn Davis at Dream. Dream and Play, Dream Ear, Dream Eye. And we are distributed through...
Dang it, just Dream Ear Productions.
Just
the
Dream-
man do it
Oh,
all.
he just does it all. You didn't know. He's playing against the Cavs. And we are distributed by the Slideshow Network, amongst other things.
What up, Sly?
We will shout out some of our sponsors. Tonight's sponsor is Peru Water. Anybody remember that movie from the 80s, Better Off Dead with John Cusack? And French fries.
French fries.
So tonight's card is tuning in from Brazil. Where in Brazil?
Rio de Janeiro.
Which translates roughly to I'll slap Kobe Covington. And tonight's main event is Amanda Nunes.
Amanda Nunes.
Trying to help these folks. It's not,
Yes.
It's not Spanish. It's Portuguese. It's
Correct.
close. Against Raquel Pennington. And the way to sort of frame this is Amanda Nunes is the lioness.
And the bantamweight champion of the world.
Women's champion, having destroyed
all in her wake.
all in her wake. But most notably,
Well, of course, everybody's going to talk about Ronda Rousey.
Rousey. And
And Miesha Tate.
we should talk
And
about
Miesha
Miesha
Tate.
Tate. Probably the best women's judo MMA fighter, the best women's wrestler. And at this point, she stands to be probably the best in the wake of Joanna
Different weight class, though.
True, but I'm just saying, in the wake of Joanna, probably maybe the best women's kickboxer right now.
Did she defend against Holly already?
No.
It was who? Shevchenko?
But that's why I was careful to say kickboxer.
Well,
But she has-
Shevchenko is actually moving down to 125.
Right, and she's seen Shevchenko twice.
Yes.
So, Raquel Pennington we'll get into, but we're going to start off as we always do with the early UFC Fight Pass prelims. Soon to be the NBC ESPN prelims.
Yes.
Called that. Thank you very much.
Yes.
You know why?
Starting in September, I believe.
You know why? Because I'm here right now, but I'm really inside the time stone. Anyways,
Right.
y'all will get that reference later. So we're going to start off with Marcus Maluca. I thought it said Malenko, and I got lucky. I was like, Dean Malenko's back, but no, it's Marcus Maluca Perez versus James Bocha Novik.
good.
This fight
Very
was
good.
I've been working on my language.
It was added this morning.
This morning because to sort of weigh out the card. And what's interesting, I don't know much about these fighters, but I do believe that Marcus Perez might be Salt Babe. I mean,
Sprinkle me, man.
if I
Sprinkle
am
me,
wrong, by looking at statistics and a little bit of research I did, we are looking at a typical American wrestler in James Bocanovic, collegiate wrestler, facing a jiu-jitsu Muay Thai stylist.
Perez is pretty much a little bit of everything.
Nice. Well, very well rounded.
And they're both coming off. This is both of their second fights in the UFC. They are both coming off losses.
Yes. This is pretty much a pick'em fight for me. Who would you go with?
Boy, I think this is going to be an interesting fight. If I recall correctly, I believe Perez fought against the former LFA champion Eric Anders. And as we know, he got bombasted in that fight, basically.
For those who don't understand our African American and African vernacular, bombastic means he lost in a devastating and painful fashion.
So, I mean, they're very evenly matched. The difference is that we're talking about two different skill sets.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how I think this is going to be one of those fights where they just feel each other out.
Right.
And it's going to go to a decision.
Got it.
I am going to take a draw.
Okay.
Although I am just going to say that whoever wins this fight will win by split decision.
Fair. Brane.
I'll take Perez just off of the fact Brazilians do good in Brazil.
Yeah, let's throw that out there. Let's say a convention. What do I mean by a convention? There are certain rules that we've learned to apply, okay? Let's hold this convention. If a fight happens in Brazil and it goes to a decision, a Brazilian fighter is going to win the decision. Do we agree with that?
Although the officiating in Brazil
It's changing.
It is starting to get better.
It is.
It is starting
I'm just
to
saying
get
from
better.
pattern.
But as you talked about conventionally, that is a fact.
Absolutely. Okay, great. So moving on to our next fight. We have Alberto, Soldier of God, Mina. I wonder if he hangs out with Yoel Romero. And if they hang out together, is that Soldier?
I love you, Mike.
I love you, man. Hey, every time Rogan does that imitation, I have to pull over to the side of the road. I laugh too hard. Fighting Ramazan Goretz Imid.
Very good, Mr. Sweet.
You already know where I'm going with this. It is 2018. If you didn't get the notice from Frank Mir versus Fyodor
Emelianenko
Russia
stays winning.
Okay, so you already know where I'm going with this one. Although Imiv is not a Sancho fighter and does not come out of a traditional Dagestani Sancho wrestling background, you have a Sambo fighter with some really good striking. What is the background of Alberto Mina?
He is a Muay Thai fighter with a touch of jiu-jitsu.
And you can kind of see that with his tattoos and whatnot. I'm going to go against popular convention and say it's going to be the Russians going to win by a third-round submission.
Okay.
Brane.
I got me in a knockout.
Wow, what round?
Third.
Why? Is it the tattoo?
I just like that flying knee he did in his last fight.
Yeah. Good doctor.
I am going to take, believe this or not, Emeev by decision.
I saw that.
Generally, when you have two fighters that are this closely matched and evenly matched,
Yes.
it turns up into a stand-up war that doesn't really amount to much.
Right.
The thing is that obviously Emeev is going to come into this fight knowing that he is overmatched with this fight standing.
Right.
So I think what you're going to see is you're going to see him get in tight.
Yep.
You're going to see a lot of takedowns.
Yep.
I believe you're going to see him pressure Mina against the cage, and I believe that's where this will end up.
The term I've been hearing, and it's pause-worthy, is dump and pump.
Yes.
Which is do the takedown and then back up and make space. Which I believe is the new ground and pound.
Depending on the fighter.
Got it. Okay. Moving on to the next fight. We have Thales Leites versus Jack the Joker Hermansson. Now, problem here before we go in. You're from Sweden. How are you the Joker? Second problem, you're in Brazil. I think they already have a Joker.
Interesting.
But Sweden's on the come up. And this gentleman's 8-pack is pretty impressive.
Yeah, wow.
But you can tell he loads up on that left hand. I don't know how to call this one because you can't tell where Thales is in his career. Impressive 27-8. But you don't know, is he at the top of the peak? Has he gotten to the peak? Or is he on the decline? I'm not the one to say. However,
I think he's getting up there.
up there in age?
Yeah.
Okay. Facing a young man at 16-4, you know, that's an impressive ratio. I feel like this will probably, for me, I think this will go to decision. And I think that Thales will eke out the win because it's Brazilian. But I think, to quote Josh Shaya, I think Thales will win the fight, but Hermansson will win the competition.
Okay. How about you, Brane? What do you think?
Actually, I think Thales is gonna pull off a submission. Third round, he might get beat up a little bit before that, but his jiu-jitsu's always been very slick, and he's in Brazil. He wants to go out on top. Okay. So I'm pulling for him. I don't know if he'll do it, but I'll throw it out there.
Okay, all right. The equation here is pretty simple.
Yes.
Without ever having stepped foot in either of these fight camps, we know how these fight camps went.
Yeah.
Leites needs this fight to go to ground.
Right.
Hermansson needs this fight to remain standing.
Yeah.
And the equation is pretty simple. So the thing is that Hermansson has hands.
Yes.
Serious hands.
Yeah. Southpaw?
And he's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
He's a little bit of both. Good. And obviously, as we heard Brane say, Leites is going to take a lot of damage, and I think that a lot of damage is going to become a whole lot of damage, and Hermansson is going to put him down. KO.
Got it.
I can definitely see that happening.
Makes sense. Moving on to our prelims on FX. Speaking of FX, do you guys watch Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think you missed the fight.
Later.
Okay. We still have one fight remaining in the
We have one. Oh, I'm sorry.
One fight.
We're going back to the UFC Fight Pass. I'm sorry.
Right.
We have Varley Alves.
Varley Alves.
I was doing so good.
Yep.
Oh.
I was taking classes at the mall.
Right. right.
Versus Sultan Alev. So it's Alves versus Alev. It's like two different forms of painkiller.
Well done, Brett.
Thank you very much.
Well done, Mr. Sweet.
Keep it real. Does this not look like a level off Double Dragon?
The Bobo. Come on. The Bobo.
Keep it real.
Wow.
Can you guess which way I'm going with this one?
Dagestani.
Because, somebody looks like they're coming off TRT, and somebody looks like they carry carts of horses on their back for fun. Okay? Sultan Aliyev, second round, leg kick to domination, choke out. At some other point, we'll talk again about Zabit and how I was like, yo, I told you. Okay, that's my prediction.
Hey, I'm really juiced if they put together that Zabit and Yair.
I'm not looking forward to that fight.
Because
I know how it's gonna go.
What, the two dynamic strikers cross each other
but
out?
I think for Yair, that's like, it's sad. Yeah.
It's gonna be brutal.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting to this particular fight, I am taking Aliyev by knockout.
Yes.
Same.
What round?
Might be one.
Yeah, it might be quick.
Okay, got it.
It might be quick.
I think we're unanimous in this. Wow.
And I like Warley Gnarly.
And this is the interesting thing. We have this classic. This is the classic matchup of striker versus grappler, right? But as we know, how does the fight start?
Right. Standing up.
And we know how Aliyev's fight camp went. Guard against the takedown. Guard against the clinch.
We also know the last time that Cannonball fought Sabretooth, he lost. So I don't see this going on well the second time.
Oh, boy.
Well, that was simple.
Yes, it was.
Okay. Going back to FX, we have... I'm going to struggle very hard with this.
Okay, I got you.
Zaleski dos Santos versus Sean Strickland.
Yeah. Well done.
Well, excuse me. Elizu Zaleski dos Santos. How you got for it? That's it. I love you Latino
is his
people.
nickname Capoeira?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I love you Latinos for having multiple names.
He's from Brazil, actually.
That's not a Latino?
American.
Right.
Yeah.
That doesn't count?
No, I don't really think so. But maybe
They
I
didn't
could be
teach me
wrong.
that in my ethnic studies required class. Versus Sean Tarzan Strickland. Thank you, Sean, for two things. First of all, you have no hair and you call yourself Tarzan. And secondly, you need to stop pulling in your stomach. Yeah. How will this go? Strickland trains with Gastelum. Let's throw that out there first. So this may be a good preview. Whoever wins this fight will tell you how the fight's going to go later. Capoeira also gives you a hint of something, Brane, and this is not a spoiler. If you pay attention to his right shoulder, he is the Brazilian winter soldier. It is possible. It is possible if his coach says the right codes, he can snipe his opponent from across. I suspect a lot of great kicks to use space and a lot of wearing down. If Strickland gets in and lines up the hands, he's got very heavy hands and his boxing's incredible. For this fight, this is a really hard one to pick. I think it's going to be Strickland by decision.
Okay.
I'm going Zaleski knockout.
What round?
2.
And will it be by hands or feet or a knee or a shoulder or by a laser beam?
Headbutt.
Got it. That's illegal.
I'll go hands.
I think this fight is going to be a war.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I smell fireworks
Yes.
either way.
Fight of the night.
I smell fireworks.
Yes.
Both of these guys have chins of granite, though,
Right.
which is going to make this fight interesting.
Yes.
So I am going to take Strickland by a reluctant decision.
Yeah.
very reluctant.
Eked out. He may not be the same after this fight.
Yeah, but I think this fight is going to be an all-out war.
Absolutely.
Both of you went against the conventions on that one.
We did. We like going against the convention. We're like the Avengers. Okay, moving on. We have Davi, the Tasmanian, no relation to Brane Ramos, versus Nick Sargentine. Okay, I'm very conflicted about, fellas.
Oh, so
I'm
we
very
have
conflicted.
we have the Red Skull is actually
Right, I was about to go there. So Gabi Ramos, what can you expect from this guy? Leg locks, okay? Old school leg locking guy from a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments.
Ramasu.
Yeah. Although I still need to... I need you guys to stop naming yourself Tasmanian Devils.
Yeah, what's up with that, man?
They don't know any better.
What is up with that?
Because they don't have PhDs and they didn't take classes.
What is up with that, man?
I'm very conflicted because I like Gabi Ramos, not just because his last name is Ramos, but
You're my cousin, man.
Nick Hine I actually have in my fantasy league.
Interesting.
And again, it's kind of, the fact that he calls himself Sergeant and he's wearing red and he's from Germany makes me a little bit nervous.
Scheiße.
But obviously, if Nick Hine keeps it standing,
But notice the black stripe in his shorts.
right?
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that's the flag. Or could be he's just into saving little girls from wolves. If it stays standing and his takedown defense is on point,
See, the problem is that they're both grapplers.
right? But that's what But it's a wrestler versus a jiu-jitsu guy.
True.
How has that in the past gone? That's just very interesting. This is the history of this sport.
Well,
Comes a striking match.
hold up.
What depends?
What do I always say?
When you go to their place,
You punch them in the face.
and we saw that beautifully last fight card and two. And so I'm gonna veer off course. I think the danger if I was Davi Ramos seeing him fight, here's his plan. He baits the ground and pound, and he thinks he could take some punches, and then he locks in the leg lock.
Right.
Because that's always the trade-off and the danger of leg locks is because you open yourself up to the ground and pound.
Absolutely.
I think he's going to bait that. And I think Nick Hine is smarter than that. So I actually think he's going to do the dump and pump and do a lot of, it will be a boring fight, but it will be effective. I think it will be takedown defense and some really good distance kicking versus somebody who keeps trying to fight to get the guard and to get to, that's my opinion. But I think it will eke out a decision for Nick Hine. This will be, I will watch this fight because I need my guy to win to get points. But it's really taco time.
Got it.
In terms of interest, this is not going to be the most exciting fight. That's my prediction. How do you feel about it?
Well, again, as you heard me say earlier, they're both grapplers. I just believe that Ramos is the better grappler. And as a matter of fact, because of Ramos's tendency to go for leg locks, I think we're going to see a very unusual submission.
Yeah.
Something close to maybe a key lock, maybe an Ezekiel choke.
Speaking of,
I think we'll see something of that nature because Hine is going to come in expecting an ankle or leg lock or a knee bar.
Right. Brane, your feelings.
Maybe even a bulldog choke.
I got to go with my cousin.
With the Arabic tattoo under. I mean, fighters are so amazing.
Usamar Paul Harris Jr.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
How do you
And
think?
speaking of the Ezekiel choke,
Yeah, that's how you think it won. Okay. Submission. Okay. I hope you guys are both wrong because I want to win in fantasy. Moving on. We have Alexei the Boa Constrictor Olenek.
And that name is so apt.
And training partner to none other than everybody's favorite punching bag at Jackson Winklejohn, the former heavyweight champion. You know who I'm talking about?
O'Ring.
No, the Russian.
Frank Mir.
No, not even Frank Mir.
No?
Yeah,
Did Mir leave?
the former
Arlovsky?
Orlovsky.
Oh, that's right. Andre
They
Arlovsky.
train together. Yeah.
Mr. I need to retire soon and quick and in a hurry. Okay.
Versus Junior Baby Albini. Okay, I'm so glad I see this because this reminds me. The other day I was having a meme war with DeShawn, which I believe I'm winning. He does not believe. And he had the nerve to try to send something from the Super Mario Brothers movie. And I was like, you can't send memes of movies that were made before you were born. It's not okay. But now that I look at Junior Baby Albini, I'm like, oh, I see that they rebooted the Super Mario Brother movie.
Goombas.
DeShawn wants us to know that he was 7.
He looks, this dude, hey, when people are like, well, you don't really look like a fighter. Yeah.
People say that about me all the time.
Yeah.
I just say, test me.
Man, let's go back to Alexi's record, 52-11.
Yes.
45 submissions.
45
With
submissions.
the only Ezekiel choke in the UFC.
Dude.
As
The
my good friend.
only Ezekiel choke
J.K. Brake.
in mixed martial arts history.
Wait,
Right.
didn't, what's his name get one?
No.
Didn't Phil Davis?
Ezekiel
Somebody
choke,
else-
that was the first
Phil
time
Davis got the
that
one-handed-
ever happened.
Phil Davis had the one-handed Kimura.
Ferdinand Kimura. Okay, fair. I'm going with Alexi. I mean, I always tend to believe two things. Russia stay winning, and age and experience will beat out youth and vigor, and apparently a Subway sandwich any day. Brane, how do you feel?
It's funny that you brought to the attention that Alexei is Arlovsky's training partner because Junior actually lost his last fight to Arlovsky.
There you go.
So he's got to catch the old man with a hot one, or else he's getting choked out some way.
The bottom line is this fight will go to the ground. We all know that.
Yes.
We all know that.
Especially in Brazil.
I'm just wondering whether or not Albini can hang. The one thing I like to say, and people debate me on this all the time, Oleinik is one of the best grapplers to ever see the octagon, period.
Yep.
He only has one rival, and that is Damian Maia, period.
Speaking of which.
And that's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
And I expect Oleinik to gain another submission, and I think we're going to see something crazy again.
Yeah.
Something like maybe, I don't know, maybe a bulldog choke?
Ooh.
Maybe a calf splitter?
It's possible.
Nice.
If I saw a theme and I look at this card, because it's in Brazil and it's in Rio, is it safe to say that they highlighted jiu-jitsu grapplers?
Oh, that is very safe to say.
Oh, yeah.
So if you were somebody who doesn't really watch MMA, but you love jiu-jitsu, you train at 10th Planet,
This
you
is
train
the
at
one.
Gracie,
This is the one for you to watch.
you're really into jiu-jitsu, this is the card to watch.
Absolutely.
I am talking to you, Haitian Miguel. All right, moving on. We have. Wait,
Oh boy.
did you make your pick?
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
I think I did.
I thought you did. This fight.
Oh boy.
This fight hurts my feelings.
Oh boy.
Let me tell you what. Cesar Mutante Ferreira versus Carl Baby K Roberson. Who do I want to root for? Well, first of all, somebody needs some lotion.
Or is that just horrible camera work that the guys that we know at Dream Ear can kindly and properly fix?
Ari.
You see us.
Ari.
You see us.
12 million.
I know you do.
12 million.
You see us.
Look at his legs. Ari, look at his legs. Look at his legs.
Matter of fact, didn't you see these pictures before they went on the website? Probably not. Huh?
You know what I could do for 12 million? Between a Squarespace site and some Photoshop? Look at his legs. You know what his legs remind me of?
What they remind you of?
Coconut yogurt. When you first open it up, that's what it looks like. Yo, let's give some background on Carl Roberson. I'm not clowning you, Baby K. I'm not. We're a little biased. We want you to win. Dana White's Contender Series.
That is correct.
Did a great showing there.
That is correct.
Climbed up through the ranks. People who have come out of the Contender Series have not done well afterwards, though. So it almost feels like it's the tough before tough. Not spoiling anything, but shout out to Patrick, by the way. I'm sorry you lost your last fight. But even then, you saw the what's his name? What's the dude who looks like Patrick on Tough? Who just lost?
I don't know.
You see that there's Kyver or whatever. You see these guys who are coming out of Dana White's Contender Series are not doing well elsewhere. I think Carl Roberson.
Except for Sean O'Malley.
Yeah, I was going to say Sean O'Malley.
And you almost feel like they stack the deck for him. Because he gets to break every rule, man. He's like, it's amazing. This hybrid theme will come up next week when we do our special podcast. But he's like one part Sauron and one part Diaz.
I can smell what you're cooking.
Yeah, you see what I mean? He's almost an Avenger. It's amazing, and it's but he's got what's his name? He's got the MMA lab behind him.
I wanted to call him Vision without the intelligence, but that's
we're not even going to touch that. But meanwhile, speaking of vision and intelligence, Caesar is calling himself the Mutante, meaning the mutant. And if you look at the man's physique, he's not playing. Looking like Nightcrawler over here.
I mean, seriously,
it's very scary. Do you know anything?
In this amazing circus, they called me the Nightcrawler.
Right. I mean, and
I am Kurt Wagner.
13-6 versus 6-0. You got your work cut out for you, Mr. Roberson.
Thing is, Roberson got hands, and
hands.
Muchache got knocked out by CB Dalloway. So
I'm talking smelling salts.
Wow.
But I mean, his veteran status, he's going to try to bring this fight to the ground as soon as possible.
But surprisingly, it's funny because here's how you tell the story between data. Roberson has a higher submission percentage, but he's fought less. He hasn't had less of a showing. I think for here, the real telling factor is the accuracy. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think Carl Roberson will pull off a third-round knockout.
Hey,
I like it.
Ryan?
yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for is a Roberson knockout.
Okay.
But I feel like Fajeda's experience is going to be a factor, and he's going to try to tap him out. So.
It's you with the good Brazilian accent. I need to go take his classes. How about you?
Well, see, the problem with Ferreira with me is when he's had to face some of the better fighters in the UFC, he has fallen flat on his face.
All right. Yep.
When he has faced guys that are below average or making their debuts is when he tends to shine.
Yeah, that's
the issue is that Carl Roberson is so explosive, and for what he is this new crop of new age mixed martial artists that we're seeing, where he is a jack of all trades and a master of none. And we have seen that particular formula be very successful in the UFC. And I see a very bright future for Mr. Roberson. I am actually going to take him in a knockout because I believe that he will be prepared all the way through for what Ferreira has, because there's so much tape on Ferreira. Ferreira's been in the UFC for what? This is what, his 12th fight in the UFC? There's so much film on him. It's not even funny.
right. Good and bad.
And the messed up part about it is that just because a lot of you Cage Cousins, some things that you need to know in order to prepare for the show. I actually watch every single fighter's last 3 fights. With Ferreira, I went all the way back to 2012. And
facts.
And it's interesting because you see the same fighter then that you do now. And for me, that is a scary formula coming up against a guy like Roberson.
And these new cats, man, they don't respect the process of, oh, you're supposed to respect that guy's experience.
Right.
So going against my own
and they
logic.
shouldn't. It's fighting.
It's that, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like,
how else will you get better?
right? So you used to have the situation where it was a new guy, and they always talk about the lights,
Right.
the lights of the UFC, the jitters.
And just
I'm
like-
seeing more and more of these new cats that just come in and they're like,
And just like the guys like Sean O'Malley, right? And, like we talked about him
Gabi.
earlier, and now we're looking at Carl Roberson. These guys not only do not respect the experience, but they expect excellence from themselves early.
I like that.
And when you have that, when you have this type of skill set with that brashness and that confidence, it's either extremely deflating or extremely explosive. And it all depends on which fighter is which. And we're going to get a chance to see that being in a hostile environment where you know everything is up against you. But I know, like, I've talked to several fighters who have been in those type of situations, and they like to say, hell, it's only me and him and the referee in the octagon,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
And they can cheer all they want, but guess what? I got the equalizer that's gonna shut them up. I've heard plenty of fighters say that.
Right.
And when we say they don't respect the experience, we're not saying that they're disrespectful or that they don't actually respect it. It's just that they don't get the jitters and say,
They don't worry
I
about
can't
it.
hang with
Right.
this guy's. Yeah.
Well, their mind game is there, which
Yeah.
many guys didn't work. We're going to take a break, pay some bills, and we'll be back. We are Cage Against the Machine. I am the SweetMBA. I am joined by,
J.K. Akins.
as well as,
Brain damage.
shout out to DeShawn Davis. We'll see you in a second.
Holla.
This is Tyson Griffin.
Sean Bunch.
Myron the Hitman Smith.
Jordan the Juggernaut Powell.
Mauricio Alonso. Shout out to Cage Against the Machine, MMA Podcast, MMA Fantasy League for you. You Google them right now, because I'm about to Google them.
Y'all suckers better recognize.
Still East Side till I die.
For sure.
Why? Ask why. That's a great segue. We'll come back to it. We are Cage Against the Machine.
Indeed we are.
Thank you for tuning back in. Shout out to our sponsor, Seawolf, providing you all the favorite coconut flavored desserts to just make DeShawn Davis upset.
Did you see the look on DeShawn's face?
Yes.
The man flat out cringed.
Right. We are also sponsored by Lyft, because why should you have a ride share that respects you? Our next fight really just ties into the Snoop line. We have Vitor the Phenom Belfort versus Lyoto Machida the Dragon, which I believe I finally have graduated to my black belt of learning J.K. Akins-ology. The question that begs to be asked right now is, why?
Let the old man have some fun. Pride never dies.
It's a good segue that his name is the Dragon, because someone's about to get dragged.
Thing is, haven't we been asking this forever? The UFC Gold, the old man edition. At least they're putting the two old men against each other.
figured out there is a UFC Gold Legacy Edition for Masters. It's called Bellator, but
Real talk, man.
Brother J.K. Akins, the good doctor here, there is something to be said. I don't know that 50-year-old men need to be fighting. It seems very unhealthy. Now, if you were this new generation that's starting up, and then 30 years from now, they're conditioned and they're training differently, sure. But a lot of these guys weren't taking care of themselves. And their idea of conditioning was a shot in the butt.
I mean, but even if they were taking care of themselves,
50-year-old, man.
Come on, man.
Hey, I'm not the youngest chicken, and I don't want to see myself fight.
Seriously.
Well, I do
They're
have a
40.
fight coming up.
They're
We'll talk
40.
about that. All right, so, come on, man. Look over that picture real quick. Just
Come
look
on,
at it.
son.
Come on.
I just love that they're at least putting the OGs versus each other.
I don't give a flying flip.
But come on.
No,
BJ Penn versus Yair Rodriguez. Give me a break, man. We don't want to see that.
This is the same doggone thing. Give me a break. I don't want to see this. Maybe if this was a decade ago, maybe we'd have some action. But
Vitor-
right now,
Vitor looked like a Skyrim NPC. You got it. He looked like a blacksmith from God of War. You got him to buy more arrows.
oh man,
That's a heavy pack you got there.
oh man. Oh.
Oh, man. And speaking of Lyoto Machida and old men, have you seen the trailer for Cobra Kai?
No.
I'm glad you feel me. I'm so glad you feel me. I'm so glad you feel me.
Oh, man.
So many people in the theater were like, I don't get it. I was like, oh, I can't talk to you right now. This is brilliant.
Oh, it was brilliant.
Oh, this is brilliant.
It was a stroke of genius,
Have you seen
man.
this?
Nope.
Okay, so it's the Karate Kid turned 180. It's like 30 years later, and it's about their kids.
Yeah, it's Joey Lawrence
And
Daniel LaRusso.
And Daniel LaRusso's kid's the bully.
Yeah,
And-
like that.
and
Like
Danny
that.
and Johnny
theory, huh?
Lawrence's, his kid's the sensitive guy who gets beat up.
Right, and
so
now
he's trying to teach him and his little millennial sensitive social justice valley friends karate.
and he's trying to reopen the Cobra
Cobra
Kai
Kai,
dojos.
And he's like, literally, in the trailer, he's trying to show them, like, no, you literally have to look at the person when you punch.
And then here's the cold part, right? And then the cold part about it is Daniel LaRusso is now this rich guy who made his name off kicking Joey Lawrence in the face.
Car salesman.
Car
Hi,
salesman.
I'm
And got
Daniel
a string-
LaRusso.
Cars, got a string. Got a string of them selling cars. He's filthy rich now.
Son. And then they have this scene where Johnny Lawrence, they like some dudes try to rob him. Some 20-year-olds try to rob him, and he beats him up. But then
he
afterwards,
whooped him.
he whoops him. But then afterwards, he's like icing himself and whatever. He's like, "Oh, my hand doesn't work." It's brilliant. But it's a comedy.
it's a stroke
but
of
it's
genius.
brilliant.
I thought for sure you guys were gonna somehow tie in how Rockhold bumped. You're the best.
Yeah, that's all Rockhold, man.
When he beat up
Nothing's
Machida.
gonna ever keep you down.
Man, I'm still grieving because there's the memes after that Romero fight. The internet stays undefeated. Undefeated. And one
My
thing,
favorite was the alien one though.
Yeah.
Virtually identical.
yo, one thing I have learned in the last couple of months from the internet is that it's not just black Twitter, it's black internet is an incredible force of good in the universe. But when they start on a meme train, and I'm guilty of it too. Lord knows. The things that I've created with you guys over this Infinity War, I know I've done evil. But man, those memes of Romero, man. The alien one was pretty bad. But did you see the Dirty Dancing one?
I think I did.
Like nobody puts Rockhold in the corner. Oh, so wrong. All right, so let's actually talk about this fight real quick.
Why?
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 Why? Okay, it's in Brazil.
Oh.
And they need to finish out the contracts.
Oh.
But do we think if Machida wins, he actually believes he's in title contention? Who's next in line after
He
that?
also thinks he shouldn't retire, but that's a whole different story.
Well, and he also thinks that he should drink his own pee.
Yeah, well,
But you notice he
there's that
stopped
too.
telling that story after he popped the second time.
Well,
There's always a dodgeball league. Well, it's sterile, and I like the taste.
yes. Yes.
What
The
is he-
reason why I do it is because I drink a lot of water.
Right. What does he do next? Because we already know he's gonna beat Belfort. We already saw that with the Marquardt fight. What does he do next after this? Who does he go face that is gonna be good for him? He's gonna face Derek Brunson and survive? No.
I've got it.
Okay.
By George, I've got it.
Okay.
Kevin Gastelum.
But Kelvin is in top contention.
Exactly.
He really thinks he's gonna fight the winner of this.
Of course he does.
Haven't both these guys smoked him?
Like a pack of cigarettes in a prison yard.
So shouldn't he be back at the pod? He's 10, right? 11. What is he
12.
ranked? He's 12. So he beats Belfort and becomes 10. So then you still have oh no. I know what they're doing.
Please enlighten me.
Him and Rashad. I know.
Again, why?
I love you, Rashad. I always love you, Rashad.
Big shout out. Thank you to liking the picture that you and I took at International Fight Week, and I posted it on Instagram.
Rashad Evans.
Big shout out to you, Rashad.
Cage
Appreciate you,
Against
brother.
the Machines.
Appreciate
First
you,
fan.
brother.
Thank you. I think that's what they're trying to set up because you're not actually on a trajectory to get back to the belt because everybody, Smiling Sam Alvey, he's going to land a hand and smoke you. Derek Brunson is going to out wrestle you and smoke you. everybody from 10 up to 2 is a serious problem for you, Machida. You really, they're not. I mean, no disrespect to Eric Anders, but you're not dealing with any monster, dude.
I honestly thought Anders was going to knock him out.
So did I.
And he barely squeaked by and survived
barely squeaked by Anders.
I did give him the decision.
Well, where was
I didn't
the fight?
believe that
Where was the fight?
it was in Brazil.
Okay, moving on. So, how
That's
does
what I'm
this
saying,
fight end? Is this a decision, or do we see Vitor get knocked out again?
I think this fight ends by the way of crutches. It ends by the way of a sleep number bed. I mean, what brilliant analysis could I possibly come up with for this fight? Because the one thing,
Oh man! This fight, you know how Modelo? DeShawn brought up a great point. You know how Modelo's the official beer of the UFC, and Budweiser's the official beer of Cowboy Cerrone. This fight is brought to you by Cialis.
I would just say, for me,
How do you say
These guys are
Kaiser in
pioneers.
Portuguese?
what was that?
How do you say Kaiser Permanente in Portuguese?
Kaiser Permanente.
right?
Oh,
I don't know.
Oh, boy.
I have a different take. I feel like these guys
boy.
are pioneers. I've been a fan of both of them for a good.
I'm so glad you brought up that word.
Now.
I'm so I'm so glad you brought up that word pioneer, because you know how else is a pioneer? Oregon Trail.
Yeah, I knew you was going to
How
go
did
there.
that
I
get
knew
so
it. I knew it.
That's funny because I was gonna say Space Invaders, but okay.
Abraham Lincoln was
Oh,
a pioneer.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Cal State East Bay. Their
But I feel
sports
like
teams
y'all
are the pioneers.
just eliminated Vitor.
What division are they in? What, 12?
No, it's NAIA. It's not even NCAA.
Wow, they didn't even give him a real name. They gave him something that sounds like a configuration for a laptop battery. Okay, where were you? I'm sorry to cut you off. I was being rude.
I think even though I do still enjoy being a fan of these two guys, I do feel that this is it's basically
You know why I don't
how do you
li-
want to say, like, they're kind of just
Opportunistic. That's why I never
no, they're
liked
just
them
kind of
dudes.
throwing it on there just to be like, oh, it's Brazil, we got
Yep.
OGs, we
Yep.
got legends.
How do you say
So-
carne asada in Portuguese? This is the Brazilian steakhouse fight. They just cut off a little piece, give you something for the fans, but it doesn't go anywhere. Machida is going to be fed to some young wolf, and Belfort, if you really think you're going to climb back up, you're not. So we'll move on.
He said it's his last fight, right? I think it's just Machida holding on.
Didn't he say that to his last? It was his last fight before.
Touche.
Did he say that? You can't trust anything he says. He was supposed to have this fight 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Moving on. John Hands of Stone Lineker versus Brian Boom Keller. Wow, so much to say.
Oh boy.
I'm pretty sure Lineker wins. That's easy to figure out. Is it because Lineker is the better fighter? I'm not sure, but I'm convinced that Lineker knows how to game the system. I've watched it happen multiple times.
Okay.
You know what I'm referring to.
I think this one's going to be a slugfest.
Remember when we were at
That's
193?
exactly what it's gonna be.
Remember who missed weight? And he still got to fight?
McCall.
And then he did it multiple times?
Creepy.
Right. The only person who's really shut down Lineker is Killershaw. But he's always kind of gamed the system a little bit and eked by on
Yeah, and
decisions shit.
I think he's missed weight a good 3 or 4 times now.
But
and
that
he's-
was at 125, though,
and he's
not
arrogant about
135.
it. True. Now that's
Yeah.
that's before
Good
the
point,
new
good
testing.
point.
Okay. What do we need to know about Brian Boom?
You got hands too.
Yeah, he
Not
does.
much.
And a sugar skull.
I mean,
apparently.
there's not really much to this fight.
Okay.
These are two guys who are gonna throw hands,
Throw bones.
and that's about it. As what's the wrestler in WWE likes to say? Get these hands. and that's
There's a wrestler that says that?
yes.
But
I don't know his name. He's a big dude, a big 7-footer.
It doesn't matter what his name is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
So I mean, these fighters aren't very skilled.
No.
They're not
Yeah,
very
this
skilled.
is not going to be finesse.
So they're gonna throw them bows. They're gonna throw them dogs, and we're gonna watch it. It'll be entertaining. I'm just not sure. And it's so weird. It's so weird because this is where I feel like I know nothing about mixed martial arts because there's no intelligent analysis to really give this fight.
Yeah.
It is gonna be
It's
all
chaos.
hands and that's it.
Anything can happen, and it's also a little bit strange. It's somehow it's like baby Tony Ferguson fighting, baby Chris Lieben. I just don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
But it's gonna happen regardless. But who do we think would win?
I am actually gonna take Keller.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna
by
take
what? By
Keller.
decision or
I am gonna take him by decision.
okay? How about you, Brane?
Split.
Lineker, 3rd round knockout.
Third round. Okay, fair. Before we move on to our next fight, for any of our listeners who think we're being unfair and making light of fighters, we have deep respect for these MMA.
Absolutely.
But the whole aesthetic of what we do here is to bring the best conversations of the barbershop together with intelligent martial arts. This is what we call, you ever heard of gallows humor? We have what's called gym humor. Sometimes you need to make jokes inside the gym because you had a hard training session or whatever.
Oh, man.
Or
Remember
somebody
them
got hurt.
days.
Yeah, and so we just take that same aesthetic to what is it that gets you through the grind is humor. And so we're not trying to belittle anybody, but we are trying to make fun of you. And you should take it because you're on TV. Moving on to our next fight.
oh boy.
This fight is going to be incredible. Mackenzie Dern versus Amanda ABC. It's the easiest 1, 2, 3. Cooper. Yeah, that dance right there I did is to prove to you that I'm half white. Joey Diaz is going to be very excited about the smell of this fight. He'll probably get himself fired.
Wow. I got nothing.
I know I'm going to upset my co-host. I know I'm going to upset my co-host. There's a huge hype train going into this, and this hype train gets shut down. I think Mackenzie Dern gets knocked out.
Time out. But who started the hype train? I just want to
know.
point that out.
Was it you?
How long have I been talking about Mackenzie Dern on our podcast?
You. I understand. I'm just saying, and she is exceptionally talented, but in my humble opinion, to quote a Frenchman, I was looking at her stand-up next fight, and I was not impressed. I
thought she lost that fight.
Yeah, I think Amanda Cooper is about to pull her coat and beat that arse in a disgusting fashion. That doesn't take anything away from the fact that Mackenzie Dern's jiu-jitsu in the octagon is unparalleled and she's still to me the female Damian Maia. Side note,
that is a fact.
Side note, Damian Maia is replacing Santiago
Ponzinibbio.
and will be facing
Who is he facing?
30%.
Oh.
Ooh. Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yes.
And Kamaru's been asking for that fight for a minute now.
Ooh.
Kamaru hasn't shown up yet.
Ooh.
only
It's
30%.
only 30%.
It's only 30%.
That's it.
Beating fools at 30%.
30%. When we see 100%, then I'll call him Kamaru.
He was 100% on the press conference.
You know what I want for my birthday?
He said he was only 30.
Hey, yo, he was 100%. You know what I want for my birthday? I want that fight. If you were to give me a gift, if you were sitting there in
Kobe?
June, if you were in June, you're like, what should I get, Brett? What should I get, Sweet? Oh, Kobe Covington, Kamaru Usman. In flying distance from the Bay Area.
Yes.
Oh my God! If I could get that fight in Sacramento or San Jose or Oakland,
Staples.
yeah, I don't know if I want to go to LA, but
Bruh, but
No more parties in LA.
I could,
Look at him. He's already. His wheels are turning. Vegas.
I know.
Vegas.
I'm just saying, if I could get that fight,
man, let me tell you about my adventures in Vegas, brother. Let me tell you.
it's like a separate podcast. The adventures in Vegas.
The people within the UFC, I'm talking about the fighters, the people at the Legacy Stadium Sports Bar, they know me. They know the doctor. Bruh, let me tell you.
It's the Diggy Doc, y'all. So I gave my prediction. All aboard the hype train. So now the conductor of the hype train. will now give his prediction.
And by the way,
Yes.
while we're talking about hype train, I'm gonna throw out another name that we need to be looking for.
Yes.
And that is Macy Barbers.
Okay. Yes.
Macy Barbers, currently in the LFA.
Not to be confused with Macy Gray.
Correct. Because especially, ooh, yeah. So, Macy Barbers, remember, you heard that here first. Cage Against the Machine. She is next coming down the pike for the UFC. With that being said.
How excited were you to see your girls back in Invicta?
Oh, Pearl.
Yeah. I saw
Yes,
that.
indeed.
I saw that. I was like, JK probably should be working, but he's not. He's watching this video going, thank you, Lord.
Ah, the Lord is my shepherd. You know what I want. Pearl, big shout out going back to the dark hair girl. I see you. I see you. Okay, but back to this fight. Mackenzie Dern, Amanda Cooper. Obviously, first of all, I want to start off by saying I have to give Amanda Cooper all the credit in the world. Because even with her 4-3 record, we need to keep in mind that this woman has fought dogs.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking the cream of the crop.
Yes.
That the women's 115-pound strawweight division has to offer.
Yes.
So don't get me wrong. Amanda Cooper is no slouch. I want to make sure that I am clear. You win some, you lose some. When you're fighting people of this level, that is going to happen.
Yep.
That is the reason why she is 4-3. Not to be confused with Beck Rawlings. Anyway, with that being said.
You hear that? That's the sound of shots being fired.
With that being said, listen, we know what Mackenzie Dern is going to do.
Right.
It's not going to be a secret. It's not rocket science. The problem with this is, can Amanda Cooper keep the fight standing?
I don't think she can.
If she's not able to keep this fight standing, we got problems. And those problems are going to happen quick. So,
what if Amanda Cooper's wrestling outdoes Dern's jiu-jitsu?
It won't.
I know. That's why she took the fight.
Okay, but you go to a restaurant and every now and then you find a speck of pepper in a salt shaker. I mean, it could happen.
Fair. Okay.
It could happen. I just don't see it.
Fair.
You know, Cooper's 3 losses, though they are to beasts.
Dogs.
All 3 are submissions. And we know that's what Mackenzie specializes in.
Exactly.
I don't think her takedown defense is going to hold up. Again, who knows? She might catch her on the chin, put her to sleep, but I see this one going maybe 2 rounds before a rear naked choke gets slapped on.
I see
armbar.
Mackenzie Dern. I see Mackenzie Dern because if I were her head coach, and by the way, her head coach is Benson Henderson. Okay?
Got it.
We need to keep in mind, I think what we will see, and this is the game plan that I would have for Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah.
Pressure Amanda Cooper on the fence. Use the single leg takedown to get her on the ground and then just drag her just a couple of feet off the base of the cage so she can't wall walk, and then it's time to go to work. Just tap it in. Tap it in. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. I think we're going to see something that we haven't seen in a while. I am going.
His third call.
I am going to take Mackenzie Dern to submit Amanda Cooper by an Americana.
Oh,
Okay.
Go old school with it.
go, Plata.
Okay.
I'm sorry you're gonna lose points on this one. I seen that you did.
If
pick
she
up
pulls
Cooper.
off a go Plata, I
don't worry.
will jump out of my mind.
Don't worry. Just like my stock portfolio. When there's a threat of a big loss, there's always a big reward. You'll
That
see.
is true. That is true. I am the recipient of a couple of big wins.
How could we
Anyway.
really stack the deck for Amanda Cooper? We could put a certain Oakland comedian in the audience. And then it would be like she was hanging with Mr. Cooper. We're going to take one last commercial break. We are Cage Against the Machine.
Out of pocket.
I am the god of memes, SweetMBA.
And I am the Dr. J.K. Akins.
And I'm brain damaged.
And we will be back. Holler.
Holla at your boy.
We have returned. Cage Against the Machine.
Yes,
Bringing you the co-main event of the evening.
indeed.
We have one, Ronaldo Jacare, which sounds French, but it's actually Portuguese for crocodile
Or Gator.
or gator, which is kind of interesting because there's no gators there, but there's gators in Florida. Souza, which is Portuguese for Souza, versus Kelvin Dunkin' Donuts Gaston, which is
Out of pocket, man.
which is English for glad I didn't try this 170. This is a very intriguing fight. Let's start off with this. Jacare, for those who don't know, is really one of the first competitive jiu-jitsu guys to come into Strikeforce and then UFC and make that savage transition, meaning he had won several jiu-jitsu tournaments in Brazil and famously won one with a broken arm against Roger Gracie, and then came in and did some incredible things. And he's known for being the gator or the crocodile in the sense that when he locks on, he doesn't let go.
And by that, we also mean he
doesn't
looks like.
He also looks like a gator. He's very hood. He's very hood from where he's from. But also, as the good doctor here always points out, the problem with gators and reptiles is they have a tendency not to evolve.
Yeah.
He has also learned his striking from this interesting little camp called Shoot the Box. So he goes back with that same era. Although
meme.
He's
or
not
emoji.
he's not still there though. That's what I'm saying. But he goes back with Anderson and Lyoto and all those guys. That's what I'm trying to point out. And the whole Team Nogaro thing and Next Gym. But facing against Kelvin Gastelum, who is a wrestler out of what college?
Arizona State University.
That is famous for other MMA fighters such as
Cain Velasquez.
and
also Ryan Bader.
Right. So you could see the pedigree of wrestling. He is also a tough fighter. He beat
Uriah Hall.
well, I can't say his name. We don't call him that.
Oh.
We just call him D-bag.
Ouch.
Because he is. And he beat that. But then interesting enough, he trains with that guy now. So it makes me wonder about that fight and how real it was. In addition, he has spent a great deal of time under the tutelage of Rafael Cordero and his gym, King's MMA.
King's MMA.
And recently, I've seen some photos of him training under Jason Perillo.
Really?
Yeah, which was weird to
Not
me.
know
because
that.
Evolve MMA.
Evolve, but weird at the Ruka Center. Weird to me, given the fact that he knocked out Bisping, and Bisping is a longtime Jason Perillo student. So it's very
And
weird.
I think where the connection may be there is Rafael Dos Anjos.
Yes, right, exactly.
So-
Who's also King's MMA and switched it
He
up.
used to be King's MMA, so that's probably why we've seen that.
Absolutely. So why is this an important fight? Theoretically, the winner of this fight would go on to challenge the winner of the next 185 bout for the belt between Robert Whitaker and Yoel Romero. Theoretically. Because we can always
But
have...
we've seen some funny business.
We've always seen funny business. We always know funny business is out there. So that's a possibility. Why is this a great fight? First of all, this is a great fight because neither one of these are slouches when it comes to striking. Kelvin's boxing has come a long way, and he's incredible on the inside.
more than a long way.
He was already good. He has just gotten so much better and crisper. And his knockout of not just Tim Kennedy, which I took a special pleasure in, but also Bisping, I took an even more special pleasure in. Okay. But then you also have
beat Bisping at his own game.
At his own game. And then fighting again, and then you have Jacare, who's kickboxing. Strangely, by this unknown camp that he's training with these guys, you know that he has the ability to take you out with high kicks. We've seen it. He's done it to Brunson twice, much to my chagrin. So
there are also some glaring holes in Jacare's game,
yes,
which we will talk about.
Yes. It's hard. I want to say it's Jacare, but I feel like he's good at repeating. He's good at training for people he's beat, but I don't know that he is going to be good for against Kelvin. I would like him to win. I suspect he won't, and I will end up seeing him against Rockhold, which is what we deserve as fans. And so I believe we are going to see if Kelvin, I don't know how to pick this. If Kelvin is to win, I believe it will be by a boxing knockout in the second round. If Souza is to win, I believe it'll be a reverse of some ground and pound that turns into a submission. Thoughts?
I decided that with Jacare, when I prepped for this podcast, I decided that I would go back and I have watched every single Jacare fight from 2010 to present. I decided to go back to Strikeforce because I wanted to see if there was any difference in Jacare now from Jacare then. Mm-hmm. The glaring hole that I've been able to see, and if I see it, I know Rafael Cordero sees it. Sousa, when using those kicks, he telegraphs them. What he likes to do is he likes to use the high kick off the jab. Mm-hmm. And his kick, because it's so unnatural from him as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, there is a large windup. Mm-hmm. There is a large windup.
Which is strange because you would think that his hips from jiu-jitsu should be looser.
They are. His hips are loose. It's just that the windup is long because it's unnatural.
Right.
So if I am Rafael Cordero, I am actually taking advantage of that long windup. Yeah. And I would start by actually rushing him.
Yeah.
I'm rushing
when the kick is ready to come in.
Yeah.
And use
Close
the
the
bum
distance.
rush.
Yeah.
Close the distance.
Uppercut.
And instead of going to something like to the face, I would actually use punches to the body.
Exactly. The shovel hooks and uppercuts to the body. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And you can maybe even toss him. After that.
Yeah. I actually thinking that we will see a lot of hooks to the body.
Yeah.
I think we may actually see a couple of punches to the sternum.
Yeah.
To see if Gastelum is able to disable Jacare.
Yeah.
Before those kicks actually come in. And as we've seen, Kevin Gastelum is too fast for these 185 pounders.
And I don't have any great rhymes like you do yet. But one thing we know is if when you go to their place, you punch them in the face. The second thing that we know is everybody's a tough guy until the third body blow.
Yeah.
That's where who you really are comes out after the third attack right into your stomach.
And I think that is the reason why Gastelum has been working with Jason Perillo.
Yeah.
I think the body punches are a part of the game plan.
I can see that. Okay. All right.
Yeah, definitely. I think you two broke it down muy fuego, where, you know, I can't add nothing to it that you didn't already say, but I will say that, you know, we clowned a lot about Vitor and Lyoto. Jacare is not the pioneer that has all the fighting experience of years and decades that they have, but he is around the same age.
Yes, he is.
And Kelvin is a young savage.
Yes.
So, especially if he starts going to the body, I mean, Jacare, he does have knockout power. And that's about the only thing I can say that's changed from his Strikeforce days. That his striking has gotten better, but the style hasn't changed.
Right. Correct.
He's learned how to use it.
Correct. Yeah. Which is why it's so funny that they call him Jacare, because he literally has not evolved.
Right.
And perhaps if he hasn't evolved, maybe he should change his name to Shaka Khan.
Oh no. Oh no.
And I'm glad you brought this up in terms of Muy Fuego, which I believe translates to Saint Diego. But speaking of Spanish, happy Cinco de Mayo. Thank you very much.
True that.
And I know you're having a hard week. Shout out to Puerto Rico. We hope you make it. And shout out to Hawaii. Don't burn up. We love you.
Yep.
So, do you think it will be Kelvin, or do you think it will be?
I think it'll be Kelvin. You know, if it does go to the ground and Jacare has a hold of him, I will not be surprised one bit if he taps him quick.
I think we started this year with the sale.
I think it's going to be. I think I got Kelvin second round TKO.
I think it's safe to say that we see a pattern of let's feed young guys by old guys. I think we've seen this over and over again since 2018
But the thing with Jacare and another guy, Yoel Romero, who's up there in age, but is not, you know, doesn't have the wear and tear on his body like Lyoto and Vitor is. They still got that old man strength, man. You can't count that old man strength out.
That's true.
Wait, Yoel doesn't have that wear and tear?
Well, not you know. I know the Olympics
he's
and
an
the
Olympic
wrestling,
wrestler.
but
He's wrestled his entire life.
It's just not.
But he still has his explosion where those other guys don't.
Where does he train?
Where does he train?
Thought he was ATT.
He trains with Yanni. I found that out from that podcast.
Who?
He trains with Yanni. Yanni Jones?
Oh, he is down at Jackson now, huh?
That is hilarious. Yep. That is hilarious.
That explained everything. That explained the Rockhold lockout. I mean, again, great. AKA may be the greatest camp of all time in terms of rings and belts, right? But Winklejohn has their number in terms of like seeing that hole, because everybody has that same problem, right? So that just shows you. All right, we are coming to our final fight, which you all know as
the main event of the evening.
Fighting
out of the blue corner. She is coming by way of northern Colorado, by way also of Florida. She is the tatted one. Raquel Pennington, don't call her Rocky, or maybe you should. Fighting out of the red corner, she is the champion. Hailing out of Brazil, by way of Boca Raton, Florida, she is the Lioness, Amanda Nunes.
What I used to enjoy a lot, even though it was fake about wrestling, is when they would announce people, is they would say their favorite technique. You know, like Kevin Nash, the master of the jackknife powerbomb. I wish they would kind of bring that into wrestling, right? You know what I mean? Because there's certain people you just know what their technique is, right?
Right.
Like, you know, Johnny Jones, master of the eye poke.
The eye poke.
You know what I mean? You just, right?
Check Congo. Gonna kick you in the nuts.
Right. You know, there's certain people you know, right?
My chocolate salty bowl.
Right. I just wish
Put 'em
they
in
would.
your mouth and suck 'em.
I'm not criticizing Bruce Buffer, but if he could add one thing in there, I would love to see him say something like, she is a Muay Thai practitioner, because it would help the casual.
She does.
He does.
I'm sorry. He does. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but the way he
does.
says it, it doesn't. He needs to add a little bit more flourish to it so people understand what he's like, or maybe just say, "She is the master of furious strikes." You know what I mean, or something. So because we know what that means, but then
Yeah, I mean, he does do that.
most
He
people
does
they
do
hear
that.
like Muay Thai, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna order that."
Most time,
gonna order that.
He'll
Pad
say
Thai,
something
Muay
like,
Thai.
he'll say something like a boxer,
Right,
or,
but
yeah,
they don't know what that means. So he's got to do that. Something. He is the master of the kick to your nose, Anderson Silva. You know what I mean? So, how do we call this? I could be really naive. I could be really naive here.
you could.
I think Amanda Pennington or Raquel Pennington is an amazing fighter. I think that she earned her right to be here. I don't know why she's here.
What makes this fight the most interesting to me
Yes.
is all parties involved knew that this fight was coming down the pike.
Yeah.
Torres and Pennington used to train at ATT
Right.
with Amanda Nunes.
Right.
That's what makes this. And they obviously, we know that they moved to Colorado for another reason.
Yeah.
We don't need to mention what that reason is, do we?
No.
Okay, good.
We're deeper than that.
Okay, good. Good. So I wish I had some type of my normal genius analysis.
Are they 303?
No.
So where are they at?
No. They kind of bounce around a lot. They bounce around a lot. They have actually broken up their camp.
Pause.
And they have decided to train at specialty gyms for certain aspects of their game. So they go to
There is a very limited amount of fighters who that works for.
yeah.
There's
So
a very limited
and I understand why they do it.
Okay.
But with that being said, as we know, Raquel Pennington is one of those few fighters where Jill of all trades, master of none, really.
Right.
The interesting thing about Raquel Pennington to me is that you can't necessarily pinpoint her stylistically.
She almost reminds me of a heavier Jessica Andrade.
Ooh, I see it, but again, you can pinpoint Andrade stylistically.
Yes. Yes.
With Raquel Pennington, you just can't. It's one of those things where let's say, for instance, you're in a house, right?
Yeah.
The house is old. You see spiders everywhere. You know that there are a bunch of spiders, but you can't really tell what species they are. That's kind of Raquel Pennington.
I think her master is basically her heart and her drive.
Okay.
I agree though. She's well rounded. She's not gonna blow you away with any one technique, but
Right.
I think the girl she doesn't give up for nothing. You know what I
Go
mean?
back to your point. Here's how you figure out what species it is. There's one species that lights on fire, one species you vacuum up. So, I'm trying not to hype train the lioness too much, but she seems to have all the stars aligned.
She got the answers.
Her,
Unless a
as I
sinus
said-
infection pops up.
yeah, her kickboxing. Well, you gotta get out of Florida, but that's a whole other conversation.
Ooh.
Her kickboxing may be the best in women's MMA, and as time goes on, we may see her as being one of the best in MMA. She has the system of AT&T behind her, right?
Which quiet. I mean, okay, maybe not quiet as kept. I speak very loudly. I am not a fan of the American top team.
Understood. But one cannot understate the.
But
there is a
formulas work for some fighters.
There's a high
And she's
percentage
got the
of
formula.
there's a high percentage of problem people there, but there also one cannot.
They got some.
We cannot speak about how
beast,
much
too.
investment that the owner of AT&T has done into the sport.
Have you had a chance to take a look at AT&T's new facility?
Yes. I'm saying.
Holy mackerel.
I'm saying.
Is it high tech?
Oh,
Not just
the
that, but
place
spaces.
is bananas.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
They
I have
have
to look into
They
that.
actually have sleeping quarters for fighters who are new to the area.
Right.
The dorms.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's the new model. Is everybody's
Yeah.
building dorms? Which I mean, kind of, I think I called this whole thing coming of teams looking like football franchises, right? And even Alpha Male's starting to do that, where they have houses, right? One of my former students, Hector, is actually up there now, and he's the improvement. You see, it's overnight. So I think it when you can be immersed in it. You also have incredible coaching in the form of Dean Thomas, right? Who's not just funny, as we know, but I mean, come on, the dude knows.
Well, we're also talking about Mike Brown.
Dude, I mean, when it comes to the striking, those two, and then you get to train with Tyron Woodley.
Doug Jitsu.
The Thug Jitsu's not there anymore.
Oh, he's gone?
Yeah, so he's over in L.A.
Who we talking about?
Thug Jitsu,
Edwards.
Eve Edwards. He
Oh,
lives.
Eve Edwards,
He
yeah.
lives in L.A. with Joe Schilling. And God, who else is his roommate? And the dude who choked out CM Punk,
Oh, Mickey Gall.
Yeah.
Mickey Gall.
Mickey Gall.
Mickey Gall has
Almost
moved
said
to the
Mike
West
Tyson.
Coast.
Yes, because for a number of reasons. I don't know Mickey Gall's reasons, but because for Eve Edwards, him having the commentator job at UFC,
That makes sense.
and he's the commentator at PFL, which used to be World Series of Fighting.
Okay.
Right? Which we now know. Now we can see what's going to happen with the NBC and the ESPN deal, right? So
And does he does a little stand up too, or is
he
that
does
just
stand up. He does that to do acting. He does the acting thing. So that'll, him doing all those things. So he'll still come in and help out Dustin Poirier, who's he's still very close with.
Yeah.
But ultimately, yeah, he's over on the West Coast, so it just doesn't make sense anymore.
Okay.
So you have all those pieces. But yeah, you look at all that and then you look at the confidence level of what she's done. Again, her resume, she's hurt some people, right? She's
Bad.
She retired the greatest wrestler. She retired the greatest judo practitioner and the pioneer of the women's sport. She has shut down the second best kickboxer in women's MMA, in my opinion.
Speaking of Valentina Shevchenko here.
Yeah. Who, when she gets that next title shot, ooh boy. So going into this, she has all the elements, and then on top of which, she also has her wife as a training partner. So,
I was gonna ask you, ain't Nina Arnsonoff in the same division as Tisha Torres? Like, couldn't we?
Who?
Nina Arnsonoff?
Ansaroff, yeah.
Oh,
Ansaroff.
Ansaroff.
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
See, I
Yes.
butchered the names too.
Yes.
But she
So
spends
we
more-
could get it. They should have had a tag team match on here, like main event, co-main
Yeah, but
event.
I
you
think
know
they're
what I mean?
smart. They've learned. I think they've watched from the Pettis brothers that you don't split the baby. Keep
True.
your focus. And also, I think the sense that
And
I
they
get.
wouldn't agree to that anyway
Yeah.
because they like to focus on one another's fight camps.
That's what I
separately.
meant. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
meant. And also, I think Nina spends more time recruiting new fighters. In fact, there's a couple folks that I've introduced you guys to at different events
Yes.
who come out of the jiu-jitsu scene here, come out of the Sancho scene, who go over to AT&T and try to learn some striking.
Okay.
So that's very interesting. How does this go?
So wait a minute, ain't Rocco down there now too?
No.
No, he is. He
No,
he
Fort
is with-
Lauderdale.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's-
so yeah. He is.
He's
with,
at Combat Club, which
with,
is
with Rashad Evans,
which is-
Henry Hooft.
Oh,
The
break off of
former
Black
Black
Zillions.
Zillions.
the blacks of Black Zillions
Yep.
left. And they're at Combat Club with Henry Hooft.
Along with the Europeans.
Yeah. Right. So that's where they're at in Fort Lauderdale.
And so what did all the Brazilians end up doing?
They're still at Black Zillion.
still there.
They still stay.
I thought Black Zillions just completely broke up, though.
No,
they
they
kept
broke
the brand,
up.
but
They
they're-
broke up, but they kept the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
more
and,
you know.
and I mean, not to be an a-hole, but if you notice, the numbers have there, with the exception of Rockhold, the numbers then now I won't even make that statement because then dude lost to DC, but they seem to be doing much better. Like look at Gilbert Burns, look at that savage knockout he got, and he's a jiu-jitsu guy.
Another guy that came up wrestling and is now like finding his striking.
So to think of it this way, to give you an analogy, Florida and California have a lot of terrible parallels, unfortunately. But in the sense that there's multiple regions, right? So in South Florida, the biggest city probably that you would know about is Miami. And then there's cities outside of it. So if you say that Miami is LA, then Fort Lauderdale is like San Diego. And combat clubs in Fort Lauderdale. Does that make sense?
Right.
And the farther you are on the tip of Florida, the more proximity you have to South America and the Caribbean.
Right.
Right? Because it's a plane ride. So that
Or a boat.
Or boat.
Hopefully not the boat.
Yeah.
That would be a long ride.
Oof. Unless, you're from an island and you learn how to swim. And that's not a joke. That's fact.
Yeah.
So we're sorry.
Who do we think? Who do we think is going to win? I sadly feel that Raquel Pennington will be sacrificed to the record and will be shut down and knocked out within the third round.
Yeah,
Amanda Nunes.
I think she's going to give up a good fight for the first round and a half, and then after that, Nunes is just going to hit that second gear, and I think she's just too vicious. But again, Pennington's heart is unquestionable.
There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that.
No matter how much she's getting beat up, until the ref pulls Nunes off, she's going to be going full throttle and trying to win that fight.
Yeah, because Nunes' range is deceptive. Because you think she stays on the outside, but she's typical Muay Thai, but she's just really long. Her arms are really long for her frame.
Which is what's going to make this interesting because Raquel Pennington does match that length.
Absolutely. I haven't seen that type of volume. Who do you think has more power?
Nunes.
That's tough to call.
Yes.
I wish I could answer that question, but the one thing that I can say for sure is that, and this is something that, of course, if you've been listening to Cage Against the Machine a while, you have heard me say that Nunes eventually was going to be the champ.
Yeah.
Now that we are here, I am going to tell you she is going to hold on to this belt for a while.
A long time.
Because the interesting thing about Nunes to me is the formula that she has at American Top Team. For whatever reason, it works for her.
Yes.
Little known fact about Amanda Nunes. She is actually a brown belt in judo.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yes.
And obviously, when you're combining that judo skill with this ability to box,
Yep.
it's an interesting combination because we really haven't seen that many judo practitioners in mixed martial arts that can box on this level.
I think you could see that with what she did to Ronda. The subtle detail was her placement and her stance.
Right. And notice, and I would like people to notice, to go back to that fight, and everybody says, well, Ronda, blah, 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 blah. I get it. But the thing is notice that Amanda Nunes never engaged in the clinch.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to get at. And her stance is very sideways.
Exactly.
So she's really, she tags her, and then she moves subtly and it's like, nope, when you try to set up that throw, see, I listen.
And I think...
I listen, judo guy.
Okay.
Yeah, and the
Sounds
only
great.
judoka I could think of that got boxing on that skills is Hector Lombard, and I would say Nunes is more
right.
well-rounded than him. Like, he's got the power.
And trains with him.
Yeah, he trains down there as well,
And
right?
see, and here's the problem. Here's the problem. We know that Raquel Pennington also likes to use wrestling.
Yeah.
But Brett, how many
know,
times have
I
you
know.
heard me say
Wrestling is countered by judo.
I have gotten so
Yes.
many. I have caught so many wrestlers
I'd agree.
slipping.
I'd agree.
And I am careful. I'm careful with this fight because they know each other. So what new can you really present to somebody that you know this well?
Right, that you've probably sparred with.
And that is the part that is going to be so interesting,
Especially
to me.
when you've been going around to different camps rather than concentrating in one place and saying, work this. There's one weird little possible asterisk that could happen. What if training at different camps was a illusion, and we know that Raquel Pennington's wife trains at King's MMA? What if there was some access there? What if there was some great amount of time spent over there that just wasn't publicized? Like in the same way, like we know that Rose waits till after the fights to release social media stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, so whatever you're viewing on social media is probably 2 years old.
That is actually a trade that, believe this or not, they got from TJ Dillashaw.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Well, he got that, and he got that from Bang. And Bang got that from Rutan.
Yeah. So
Bang got it from who?
Rutan. Bang
Boss
studied
Rutan.
Boss
Boss
Rutan.
Rutan, okay.
Boss Rutan. So
Liver kick.
yeah, with them knowing each other this well, that is the element that I'm interested in because I am taking Nunes to win in a KO.
Yeah. What round?
I am going to take it in the later rounds because I think it's going to be a feel out process.
Absolutely.
Because I think they're going to try to see if they're hiding some skeletons in the closet, if you will. So I think both fighters are going to try to see, let's see, do you have something that I haven't seen before?
Right.
I'm going to see if I can bait what I haven't seen before out of you so I can learn how to counter it later in the fight. The problem is, we know that Nunes has been in those championship rounds. If I remember correctly, Pennington hasn't.
No.
Not that I know of.
And I haven't seen her
So,
cardio.
so riddle me this. It sounds like we're all in on Nunes. And we know that there was a possible fight being lined up with Cyborg. Do you feel like she could be the one to finally take Cyborg out?
No.
Or is this another, like, nope.
But
I'm
I
just
know,
going to go up and get, and it's like.
But I know who could. But that's for a different podcast. But she has to get through Holly first.
Now the interesting thing is that Brane, you probably don't know this, but behind the scenes, I had actually told Brett that a source of mine gave me inside information that a possible fight between Cyborg and Nunes was already in the works. Yeah. I had told him this months in advance.
Yeah.
What I did not know was that this particular fight was made in the background. And I think this fight was actually the secondary fight if the contract between Cyborg and Nunes could not get worked out. Because what I had told him behind closed doors was that Nunes and Cyborg were originally rumored to fight at International Fight Week.
Nice.
That was supposed to be a part of the call.
So let me ask you this question. It felt like the first time when Nunes won the belt, they started putting that out there, and she was like, nope, I'm not looking for a fight with Cyborg. Then Cyborg got the 145 belt, and then Nunes was like, all right, let's do this. And then it seemed like Cyborg was then the one to be like, I'm not really cool. I'd rather, clean out my division. It's like, do you really even have a division?
My answer to that is, and I'll give you an analogy. Hey, Daniel Cormier, what do you want to do if you beat Ozdemir? Oh, I don't really want to fight Miocic or...
I don't want to fight these animals. Are you crazy?
Oh, what?
Look at them.
So what
Are you going to pay me tough coach money?
I don't know what it is, but I suspect...
Points on the package?
There's a point on the package, but for 2 belts... That's what Connor was fighting over, that there's some residual. So you get some residual where you don't have to be there fighting all the time and you're still getting the money for whole 2 belts. and I suspect everybody's after that. Does that make sense?
But what is it that it was like first Nunes didn't want to fight and Cyborg did, and then Nunes wanted to fight and Cyborg didn't.
Because I don't think she was sure that Cyborg was going to get it. And then there's also the no Brazilians versus Brazilians. But I think once the 2 belt thing, it upped the ante again.
Now keep in mind, the one person, the element that's missing is one Jose Aldo Jr. Right? Because as we all know, he should have been the first person to get this opportunity. And because of MMA politics, we know how that goes.
Well, that was booked. That was booked.
Because when he was dominating 145, we were all calling for him to go
that
to
was
55.
booked. Remember, it was him and Pettis, but then Pettis got injured, and then Sauron came. So to be fair,
Right, but I'm saying, what I'm saying is that even with that injury, it still should have happened.
But again,
for Jose Aldo.
Again, if you look at the timing, Pettis got injured, and he came back.
But that's still, even with the timing, that is no excuse for him to get passed over later.
Okay, so let's go back to that.
What happened on the disrespect? He should have got that rematch right away.
But hold on,
absolutely.
Well, hold on. What happened? He came back from the injury, right? And then who did he fight?
Sanos knocked him out, right?
He didn't have a fight before then?
Pettis?
Yeah.
Who we talking about? We talking about Pettis?
Pettis came back and he went directly to RDA. Didn't he have another fight with what's his name?
Oh, Gil?
I would need to go back and look at
Then
that.
Benson, or no, he took the belt from Benson.
Correct.
Then he's
then
injured. Then he came back to RDA, so he lost the belt. So it's
No,
irrelevant.
but he defended against Gilbert after
He
Benson.
defended against Gilbert, right?
Yeah, but I think that was before the injury, if my memory is correct.
Right. So the point is, after he got injured, right? So the window did not line up. That's my point. Is Pettis' injury threw it up. Anyways, we are Cage Against the Machine. We're gonna get out of here. We will see you. For those of you in the Bay Area who wants to watch the fight with us, we'll be at Seawolf next Saturday. We'd love to see you there. And if not, stay at home. You smell. We don't care. Shout out again to all 10,000 and more of you who tune in.
We so appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Thank you very much.
So appreciate it.
This week's episode has been brought to you by nobody. I want to thank nobody. The double champ thanks nobody. I am the SweetMBA.
Absolutely no one.
No one. Actually, this episode has been brought to you by Dolly. Hey, just like y'all should have paid Biggie for them lyrics, y'all need to pay Ray Borg. Y'all
Seriously.
stop playing with that man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Stop playing with that man's family.
Seriously. He has had a very rough month. Have you heard about what else is going
I
on
have.
with him?
his baby?
Hey,
Oh, man.
Sauron, you
And not only that, he is now being sued by his former fight team and management.
great. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Y'all
Yes.
need to pay that man. You need
Knock
to pay
that off.
Playing with his money.
Knock it off.
Or we could start playing with the Irishman's money. But that's just my suggestion. I'm not saying.
I
you
mean,
should.
I would do. I mean, would I ever advocate for suing? Oh, who am I kidding? Yes, I would.
Litigation is great. I am the SweetMBA God of Memes. I am joined here by,
I am the doctor, J.K. Akins.
as well as
Brain damage.
everything you see, hear, experience, as well as our beautiful CGI that just came in, is brought to you by DeShawn Davis, super producer and media content researcher extraordinaire with Dream Ear, Dream Eye, Dream and Play, Dream Ear Productions. Pretty soon he'll be installing tiles in your bathroom with Dream Plumbing. We are distributed on the Slideshow Network. Thank you very much. And as usual,
Cheers!